They say revenge is a dish best served cold. Personally, I think that's boring. I prefer my revenge served piping hot, wearing a leather jacket, riding a vintage Ducati, and terrified the living daylights out of my ex-boyfriend. If you're listening to this, you're probably expecting a sad story. You're expecting me to tell you how I cried for weeks, ate my weight in ice cream, and listened to sad breakup songs until my ears bled. And yeah, okay, I did do that for about 48 hours. But then I had a realization. I realized that crying wasn't going to fix the fact that my life had imploded. I realized that being the nice girl had gotten me absolutely nowhere except betrayed by the two people I trusted most. So, I decided to stop being the nice girl. I decided to become the girl who dates your worst nightmare. This is the story of how I tried to ruin my ex-boyfriend's life by fake dating his estranged, terrifying, and devastatingly hot older sister. And how I accidentally ruined my own life by falling in love with her. Hi, I'm Maya. Before the incident, I was what you would call a terminal people pleaser. I'm 24, I work as a junior graphic designer at a mid-sized marketing firm where I apologize to my boss for things that aren't my fault, and I color code my bookshelf. I liked stability. I liked plans. I liked knowing exactly what tomorrow looked like. My boyfriend Kyle was part of that plan. We'd been together for 2 years. Kyle was safe. He was a junior account manager. He wore beige chinos. He thought mayonnaise was spicy. He was the kind of guy your mom loves because he opens doors and remembers birthdays, even if he buys you a vacuum cleaner for them. We were supposed to move in together next month. We had picked out an apartment. We had discussed dog breeds, golden retriever obviously. I thought I had it all figured out. Thought I was happy. Spoiler alert, I was an idiot. It was a Tuesday. A rainy, miserable Tuesday in November. I had left work early because I had a migraine that felt like someone was taking a jackhammer to my frontal lobe. I didn't text Kyle I was coming over. I had a key to his place obviously. I just wanted to crash on his sofa, steal one of his hoodies and have him make me that instant soup he was surprisingly good at. I unlocked the door quietly, trying not to make the headache worse. The apartment was dark but there were candles lit. My first thought, being the naive optimist I was, he's setting a mood for when I come over later. Then I saw the trail of clothes. Kyle's beige chinos. A shirt I had bought him. And then, a red dress. A very familiar red dress. I froze. My heart hammered against my ribs so hard I thought it would crack the bone. I knew that dress. I had helped zip it up in a dressing room 3 weeks ago. I walked toward the bedroom. The door was cracked open. I didn't want to look. Every cell in my body was screaming at me to turn around, run away and pretend this wasn't happening. But I pushed the door open. And there they were. Kyle. My beige chino wearing, safe, predictable Kyle. And Tiffany. My cousin. My first cousin. The one who I spent every Christmas with. The one who called me sissy. They scrambled. Sheets flew up. There was a lot of screaming. I think I stood there for a full minute, completely silent, just processing the sheer cliché of it all. It was like a bad soap opera except the nausea was very, very real. Maya, wait. It's not what it looks like. Kyle stammered, pulling a sheet up to his chest. Really, Kyle? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. Because it looks like you're sleeping with my cousin. It just happened. Tiffany cried, looking more annoyed that she was caught than guilty. We have a connection, Maya. You wouldn't understand. You and Kyle, you guys are just so boring together. Boring. That word echoed in my head as I walked out. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I just placed my key on the counter, walked out into the rain and got into my Honda Civic. I drove to a parking lot behind a Wendy's and screamed until my throat felt like sandpaper. The next 3 days were a blur. I blocked them both. My family was in chaos. My mom was screaming at her sister, Tiffany was playing the victim, and I was just empty. I was sitting in a dive bar on Friday night with my best friend, Sam. Sam is the opposite of me. She has pink hair, no filter, and a terrifying ability to hold a grudge. You have to destroy him, Sam said, slamming her beer down. I'm serious, Maya. We need to key his car. Or burn his apartment. Or tell the IRS about his side hustle. I don't want to go to jail, Sam, I mumbled, stirring my drink with a straw. I want him to hurt. I want him to feel as small and terrified as I feel right now. What is Kyle afraid of? Sam asked. Besides flavor and commitment? I thought about it. Kyle was a man of many petty fears. He was afraid of spiders. He was afraid of failing his quarterly review. But there was only one thing that genuinely, deeply unsettled him. One person. His sister, I whispered. Sam frowned. He has a sister? I thought he was an only child. He basically pretends to be, I said, sitting up straighter. Her name is Alexandra. Or Alex. She's the black sheep. The family doesn't talk about her. Kyle is terrified of her. He's like 6 years older than him. She left home at 18 after some huge fight with their parents. Kyle told me once that she's the only person who can make him cry just by looking at him. Okay, Sam said slowly, a grin spreading across her face. And where is this terrifying sister now? She runs a custom auto shop downtown, I said. Ironclad Customs. I looked her up once out of curiosity. She looks intense. Maya, Sam said, leaning in. What if you dated her? I choked on my drink. What? Think about it. Kyle cheats on you with your family. You date his family. Specifically, the one member of his family he is absolutely petrified of. It's poetic. It's Shakespearean. It's the ultimate power move. Sam, I'm not gay, I said automatically. Sam raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? Because you've been staring at the bartender's arms for the last 20 minutes. And that bartender is definitely a woman. I felt a blush creep up my neck. Okay, so maybe I had dabbled with the idea. In college. Or maybe more than dabbled. But I had pushed it down because Kyle was safe. Kyle was the plan. Even if I was, I stammered, why would she date me? Me. I wear cardigans. He runs a motorcycle shop. She'd eat me alive. Exactly, Sam grinned. That's why it's perfect. I shouldn't have listened to Sam. It was a terrible, reckless, insane idea. So, naturally, Saturday morning found me standing outside Ironclad Customs. The place looked like the set of an action movie. It was a massive brick warehouse with garage doors rolled up, revealing gleaming chrome half-assembled engines, and sparks flying from welding torches. The air smelled like oil, gasoline, and burnt rubber. It was loud. It was gritty. It was absolutely not my environment. I smoothed down my skirt. I was wearing a powder blue sundress and a white cardigan. I looked like I had gotten lost on my way to a bake sale. I walked into the garage dodging a guy rolling a tire. Excuse me. I squeaked. I'm looking for Alexandra? The guy pointed toward the back where a solitary figure was working on a matte black vintage muscle car. I took a deep breath and marched over. The figure was bent over the open hood. All I could see were grease-stained coveralls and boots. Excuse me, I said a little louder this time. The person straightened up and turned around. And my brain just stopped. Kyle had described his sister as scary. He had left out the part where she was devastatingly gorgeous. She was tall, at least 5 feet 10 inches. She had messy dark hair tied back in a haphazard bun with loose strands falling over her forehead. She had a smear of grease on her cheekbone that somehow looked like high-fashion makeup. Her eyes were sharp, dark, and intelligent, and her arms, exposed by the rolled-up sleeves of her coveralls, were toned and covered in intricate tattoos. She wiped her hands on a rag, looking me up and down. She didn't smile. She looked at me like I was a puzzle piece that had fallen out of a different box. We're not hiring, she said. Her voice was low, raspy, and sent a shiver straight down my spine that had absolutely nothing to do with fear. I'm not here for a job, I managed to say, clutching my purse like a shield. I'm Maya. She raised an eyebrow. Hey Maya. Did your car break down? Because if it's a Prius, I don't touch them. No, I said. Well, I was Kyle's girlfriend. That got a reaction. Her eyes narrowed instantly. The air around her seemed to drop 10 degrees. Kyle sent you. No. I said quickly. God no. Kyle is history. We broke up. Or rather, I broke up with him after I found him sleeping with my cousin. Alex paused, the rag still in her hands. She tilted her head, analyzing me. Ouch. That's rough. She didn't sound sympathetic, just factual. So what do you want from me? A shoulder to cry on? Because I'm fresh out. I want revenge, I blurted out. Alex blinked. For the first time, a flicker of amusement crossed her face. She leaned back against the car, crossing those intimidating arms. Revenge. You look like you apologize to tables when you bump into them. What kind of revenge are you planning? Aggressive knitting. I want to date you, I said. Silence. Absolute heavy silence. The sound of a drill whirring in the background seemed deafening. Alex stared at me. I stared back, trying not to hyperventilate. You want to date me, she repeated, deadpan. Fake date, I corrected, my face burning. Look, Kyle is terrified of you. You're the only person in the world who intimidates him. He broke my heart and humiliated me with my own family. I want to show up to his upcoming family reunion, which I was invited to, by the way, with you on my arm. I want to see the color drain from his face. I want him to suffer. Alex stared at me for a long, uncomfortable moment. She looked at my blue dress. She looked at my sensible flats. Then she looked into my eyes. And what makes you think I'd agree to this? She asked. I haven't spoken to that family in 6 years for a reason. Because, I said, stepping forward, finding a courage I didn't know I had. I know they cut you off. I know they treat you like you don't exist. Don't you want to show up, look amazing, and ruin their perfect little party just as much as I do? A slow, dangerous smile spread across Alex's face. It was the kind of smile a wolf gives before it eats a rabbit. It was terrifying. It was the hottest thing I had ever seen. You've got guts, Cardigan, she said softly. She tossed the rag onto a workbench and took a step toward me, towering over me. She smelled like motor oil and expensive sandalwood soap. Hey, I'm in. You are. I squeaked. On one condition, she said, leaning down so her face was inches from mine. If we do this, we do it right. No half measures. You have to commit. You have to be convincing. Because I don't do things halfway. I can be convincing, I whispered, my heart racing. We'll see, Alex said. She reached out and, with a surprisingly gentle touch, tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. Her fingers were rough, callous, and warm. Meet me here tonight. 8 p.m. Leave the cardigan at home. She turned back to the car, dismissing me. Now get out of my shop, Maya. You're distracting me. I walked back to my car, my legs feeling like jelly. I had done it. I had made a deal with the devil. I just hoped I wouldn't get burned. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I accidentally agreed to let my ex-boyfriend's scary, leather-clad sister give me a makeover and pretend to be my girlfriend. Thought the hard part was over. I thought the scary part was asking her. I had no idea. The scary part wasn't Alex. The scary part was finding out that behind that leather jacket, she was exactly the kind of trouble I had been looking for my whole life. I stood in front of my full-length mirror, staring at a stranger. Sam, I look like a vampire slayer who got lost at a Forever 21, I told my phone, which was propped up against a stack of books on my vanity. Sam's face, pixelated on FaceTime, rolled her eyes. You look hot, Maya. Stop overthinking it. It's a leather jacket and dark jeans. It's standard cool girl attire. It's not a costume. It feels like a costume, I whined, tugging at the hem of the jacket. It was actually Sam's jacket. A faux leather biker number that squeaked slightly when I moved. Beneath it, I was wearing a black tank top that showed an alarming amount of collarbone. I felt exposed. I felt like a fraud. I felt like Kyle would take one look at me and ask if I was going through a midlife crisis at 24. Remember the mission, Sam said, her voice dropping to a serious whisper. Revenge. The look on Kyle's face. You are not Maya, the graphic designer tonight. You are Maya, the girl who tamed the beast. Please don't call her a beast, I muttered, grabbing my keys. She smells really good. Ooh, Sam teased. Smelling the beast. I like where this is going. Go get her, tiger. I hung up before she could make any more jungle metaphors. The auto shop looked different at night. The big bay doors were closed, but a single light was on inside the office, casting a long yellow rectangle onto the gravel lot. I parked my Civic next to a dumpster, fitting considering how I felt, and walked toward the light. My heart was doing that thing where it tries to escape through your throat. What was I doing? I was about to go on a date with my ex-boyfriend's estranged sister. A woman who could probably bench press me. A woman who looked at me like I was a lost puppy she was considering adopting or possibly eating. I knocked on the metal door. It swung open almost immediately. Alex stood there. And oh boy. If I thought she looked good in grease-stained coveralls, I was absolutely unprepared for casual Alex. She was wearing ripped black jeans, heavy combat boots, and a vintage band tee with the sleeves cut off, showing off the full sleeve of tattoos on her left arm. She had a flannel shirt tied loosely around her waist. She looked effortlessly cool, the kind of cool you can't buy. She leaned against the doorframe chewing gum. Her eyes raked over me, starting at my boots and ending at Sam's leather jacket. "Well," she drawled, a smirk tugging at the corner of her mouth. "Look at you. You left the cardigan at home." "I told you I could be convincing," I said, trying to sound tough. My voice cracked. "You look like you're about to rob a library," she said dryly. She pushed off the doorframe and walked past me toward a massive motorcycle parked under the lone streetlight. "Come on. We're going for a ride." I froze. "A ride? In my car?" Alex laughed. It was a low, throaty sound that did dangerous things to my insides. "No, princess. On the bike. Unless you want to show up to the dive bar in your Honda Civic. Nothing says badass couple like a sedan with a baby on board sticker." "It's a my dog is smarter than your honor student sticker," I corrected defensively. "Get on the bike, Maya." I had never been on a motorcycle. I had spent my life avoiding things that are statistically likely to kill you, like skydiving, shark diving, and motorcycles. Alex handed me a helmet. "Put this on. And hold on tight. I don't drive slow." I strapped the helmet on, feeling like a bobblehead. I climbed onto the back of the bike. The seat was vibrating beneath me. Alex was sitting in front of me, her back broad and solid. "Where do I put my hands?" I shouted over the engine. "Around me," she shouted back. "Unless you want to fall off on the highway." I hesitated, then wrapped my arms around her waist. It was electric. I could feel the heat radiating off her. I could feel the muscles in her back shift as she gripped the handlebars. She was so solid. So real. "Ready?" she yelled. "No." I screamed. She gunned it. The world blurred. The wind rushed past us, screaming in my ears. I squeezed my eyes shut and buried my face into the back of Alex's leather vest. I held on to her like she was the only solid thing in a dissolving universe. I could smell that sandalwood scent again, mixed with the sharp tang of exhaust. After a few minutes, the terror started to fade, replaced by a strange, wild exhilaration. The city lights were streaks of neon. The vibration of the engine felt like a heartbeat. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't thinking about Kyle. I wasn't thinking about the betrayal. I was just existing. Here, now, pressed against the back of a beautiful, terrifying woman. We pulled up to a place called the Rusty Anchor. It was exactly the kind of place Kyle would never set foot in. The neon sign was flickering. There were motorcycles parked out front. Alex killed the engine. The silence that followed was ringing in my ears. I climbed off, my legs wobbling. I tried to take the helmet off, but the strap was stuck. I tugged at it, panic rising. I was going to die in this helmet. This was my life now. "Stop," Alex said. Her hands were suddenly there, brushing mine away. "You're going to choke yourself." She stepped close. Too close. She began to undo the strap, her fingers deft and quick. She was looking down at me, her face inches away. In the flickering neon light, her eyes looked almost soft. "You didn't scream," she noted. "I screamed internally," I admitted. She smirked, pulling the helmet off my head. My hair was a disaster, static and wild. Alex reached out and ruffled it, making it worse. "Better," she said. "You look too polished. Now you look like you've been on a bike." She turned and walked toward the entrance. "Come on. First round is on you." We found a booth in the back. The leather seats were cracked and taped up with duct tape. Alex ordered a whiskey neat. I ordered a vodka cranberry because I panic ordered. "Okay," Alex said, leaning her elbows on the sticky table. "If we're going to do this, we need to get our stories straight. The reunion is in 2 weeks. We need to be a convincing, established couple by then." "Right," I said, pulling out a small notebook and pen from my purse. "I have questions." Alex stared at the notebook. "You brought a notepad to a date?" "It's a strategy meeting," I said defensively. "Okay, question 1. How did we meet?" Alex took a sip of her whiskey, watching me over the rim of the glass. "We met here. You were crying over your ex. I bought you a drink. I thought you were pathetic but cute. You thought I was rude but hot." I blinked. That's actually not bad." I scribbled it down. "Pathetic but cute. Question 2. What do we have in common? Because looking at us." I gestured between my loft-style outfit and her biker aesthetic. It's not obvious. We both hate Kyle, Alex said. That's a solid foundation, I agreed. But why do you hate him? I mean, I know he's boring and a cheater, but he's your brother. Alex's expression darkened. The playful smirk vanished. She swirled the amber liquid in her glass. Kyle, she said, her voice dropping, is a symptom. He's the golden boy. He did everything right. Good grades, business school, boring job. He never questioned our parents. He never stepped out of line. When I came out. She paused. I held my breath. When I came out at 16, she continued, looking at the table, my parents tried to send me away. To a camp. Kyle knew. He was 12. He heard them planning it. And he didn't warn me. Kissed, watched. He let them pack my bags. I had to climb out a window in the middle of the night to escape. I haven't been back since. My heart broke. I reached out across the table without thinking, covering her hand with mine. Alex, I whispered. That's horrible. She looked at my hand on hers. For a second I thought she was going to pull away. She looked tense like a coiled spring. But then she relaxed. She didn't pull away. She turned her hand over, lacing her fingers through mine. Her hand swallowed mine. It was rough, warm, and surprisingly gentle. I don't need pity, Maya, she said quietly. I need revenge. I want to walk into that reunion and show them that not only am I happy, but I stole the one thing Kyle thought he owned. His perfect, predictable life. I want to show them that the black sheep won. We will, I said, squeezing her hand. We are going to destroy them. Alex looked up at me, and for the first time her smile reached her eyes. It transformed her face. She looked younger. Lighter. You're surprisingly bloodthirsty for a girl who color codes her books, she noted. You noticed the color coding? I notice everything, she said. Suddenly a shadow fell over our table. Well, a voice boomed. Who's a guy? Big, bearded, wearing a leather vest that matched the other bikers at the bar. He looked like he ate rocks for breakfast. Alex. Haven't seen you in here for a while. Alex didn't flinch. She didn't even let go of my hand. She just leaned back, looking bored. Busy, Mike. You know how it is. Mike's eyes slid to me. He leered. It was gross. And who is this? Fresh meat? He looks a little fragile for you. I stiffened. Old Maya would have looked down. Old Maya would have laughed nervously. But Alex's hand tightened around mine. Careful, Mike, Alex said. Her voice was low, pleasant, and absolutely terrifying. That's my girlfriend. And she's not fragile. She's the only one who can handle me. My heart skipped a beat. Girlfriend. The word sounded heavy and real in her mouth. Mike laughed, holding up his hands. All right. Just asking. Nice catch, Alex. He walked away. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Thank you. Don't thank me, Alex said, finally releasing my hand to take another drink. It's part of the act. We have to sell it. Physical touch is key. If we look like two friends sitting 3 feet apart, Kyle will see right through us. So, we need to touch more? I asked, my voice rising an octave. Yes, Alex said. She stood up, tossing a $20 bill onto the table. Come on. Let's get out of here. It's too loud. We walked out into the cool night air. The adrenaline from the bar encounter was fading, leaving a buzzing tension between us. As we reached the bike, Alex stopped. He turned to me. Lesson 2, she said. What's lesson 2? Intimacy, she said. Before I could process what was happening, Alex stepped into my space. She placed her hands on my waist. Her thumbs hooked into the belt loops of my jeans. She pulled me in until our bodies were flush against each other. I gasped. My hands instinctively went to her shoulders to steady myself. Breathe, Maya, she murmured. Her face was so close I could count her eyelashes. If you hyperventilate every time I touch you, this isn't going to work. I'm not hyperventilating, I wheezed. I'm just practicing. Good, she whispered. Her gaze dropped to my lips, then back up to my eyes. When we're at the reunion, I'm going to have to hold you. I'm going to have to put my arm around you. I might even have to kiss you. Oh, I said. My brain had officially gone offline. Can you handle that? She asked. I looked at her. I looked at the dangerous curve of her mouth, the challenge in her eyes, the vulnerability she tried to hide behind the leather and the attitude. And I realized something terrifying. I wasn't scared of the act. I was scared that I would like it too much. I can handle it, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Alex studied me for a second longer. Then she smirked, let go of my waist and stepped back. The cold air rushed in to replace her warmth and I instantly missed it. Good, she said, handing me the helmet. Get on. I'll take you home. We have a lot of work to do. I wrapped my arms around her waist again for the ride home. This time I didn't hold on out of fear. I held on because I wanted to feel the vibration of her laugh through her back. I had signed up for a fake relationship to get revenge on my ex. But as we sped down the highway, leaving the city lights behind us, I started to wonder if the only person I was fooling was myself. Kyle had cheated on me. But Alex felt like she was about to steal something much more important than my dignity. She was going to steal my heart. And I had a feeling she wouldn't give it back. Hold still, Alex commanded. I am holding still, I muttered, gripping the edge of my bathroom sink until my knuckles turned white. You are putting eyeliner on me with the intensity of a bomb disposal technician. Alex was currently leaning over me in my tiny bathroom, a pencil in one hand. She was dangerously close. It had been 3 days since our motorcycle ride, and we had spent every evening strategizing. This mostly involved Alex critiquing my wardrobe, me asking her personal questions she refused to answer, and both of us ignoring the electricity that crackled in the air whenever we accidentally touched. Tonight was the test run. The soft launch. We knew Kyle and Tiffany were going to the Velvet Rope, the most pretentious, overpriced lounge in the city, for Tiffany's birthday. Kyle had booked the table months ago, back when I was supposed to be his +1. The reservation was likely still under my name, which was the cherry on top of this revenge sundae. Done, Alex said, capping the eyeliner. She stepped back, tilting her head. Damn, Maya. You clean up nice. I turned to the mirror. My jaw dropped. The girl in the mirror wasn't Maya, the graphic designer. She was a femme fatale. My hair was blown out in loose, voluminous waves. My makeup was smoky and sharp. And the dress. Alex had picked it out. It was a slip dress in emerald green silk that hugged every curve I usually tried to hide. It had a slit that went up to my thigh. It was a weapon. Now, I said, turning to Alex. Your turn. Alex smirked. I'm already ready. She stepped out of the bathroom shadows. I forgot how to breathe. She wasn't wearing leather tonight. She was wearing a suit. A tailored black women's suit with a deep V-neck and no shirt underneath. A silver chain rested against her sternum. Her hair was down for the first time, falling in dark waves around her sharp jawline. She looked like a CEO who also killed people for a living. You look. I squeaked. Illegal. Good, she said, checking her watch. A heavy masculine thing. Because we're going to be late. And the best entrance is a late entrance. The Velvet Rope was crowded. It smelled like expensive perfume and desperation. The lighting was dim, casting everything in a golden, hazy glow. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I think I'm going to throw up, I whispered, clutching my clutch bag. Do not throw up on the silk, Alex murmured, her voice low in my ear. Grab my arm. And don't look at the floor. Look at me. I took a deep breath and looped my arm through hers. Her bicep was firm under the suit jacket. Head up, shoulders back, she coached. You own this place. You're not the ex-girlfriend. You're the main character. We walked in. It was like parting the Red Sea. People turned. Not because of me, but because of us. Because of Alex. She walked with a predator's grace, scanning the room with bored indifference. Me. I was the splash of color next to her darkness. I spotted them immediately. They were at a booth in the center. Kyle wearing a suit that was slightly too tight and Tiffany wearing a sparkly pink dress and a tiara. A literal tiara. Target acquired, Alex whispered. Oh God, I said. He's feeding her a strawberry. I'm going to be sick. Stick to the script, Alex said, tightening her grip on my arm. Showtime. We didn't walk to a different table. We walked straight up to theirs. Happy birthday, Tiff. I said, my voice dripping with fake cheer. Kyle jumped so hard he dropped the strawberry. It rolled sadly across the white tablecloth. Tiffany froze, her fork halfway to her mouth. Why, Kyle choked out. He looked me up and down. His eyes bulged. What are you, You look incredible. I know, I said, flipping my hair. I heard you guys were celebrating. I thought I'd stop by and say hello. Tiffany's eyes narrowed. You weren't invited, Maya. This is a private. Then she saw Alex. Tiffany's mouth snapped shut. Kyle turned pale. It was the reaction I had dreamed of. It was fear. Pure, unadulterated terror. Alexandra. Kyle stammered. He looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Why are you? Alex smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. It was the smile of a shark realizing the seal is trapped. Hello, little brother, she drawled. Happy birthday, Tiffany. I see you're wearing a crown. Fitting. What are you doing here? Kyle whispered, looking between me and Alex. Together. Alex looked down at me. Her expression softened instantly. She reached up and brushed a thumb across my cheekbone. It was such a tender, intimate gesture that for a second I forgot we were acting. Maya and I are having dinner, Alex said calmly. We're celebrating our anniversary. Anniversary? Kyle squeaked. What anniversary? Our 1-month anniversary, I lied smoothly. Since we started seeing each other. 1 month. Tiffany shrieked. But you and Kyle only broke up 3 weeks ago. I widened my eyes innocently. Did we? Time flies when you're actually happy. The silence at the table was heavy enough to crush a diamond. Kyle looked like he had been slapped. Tiffany looked furious. You're lying, Kyle said, his voice trembling. You hate her, Alex. You hate our whole family. You wouldn't date Maya just to get back at me. You think highly of yourself, Kyle, Alex laughed coldly. You think I'd waste my time dating someone just to annoy you? No. I'm dating Maya because she's smart, she's funny, and unlike you, she knows how to treat a partner. She slid her hand down to my waist, pulling me into her side. And, she added, her voice dropping an octave, she's incredible in bed. I choked on my own spit. I managed to turn it into a cough. Kyle looked like he was going to cry. We should go, babe, Alex said to me, ignoring their shattered expressions. Our table is ready. And I promised you champagne. Right, I managed to say. Bye, Kyle. Happy birthday. Cute tiara. We turned and walked away. I could feel their eyes burning holes into our backs. We sat at a booth on the other side of the lounge, hidden by a velvet curtain. I slumped against the leather seat. Oh my God. Did you see his face? He looked like a goldfish that fell out of the bowl. Alex chuckled, loosening her tie. He looked terrified. It was beautiful. You went off script. I hissed, kicking her gently under the table. Incredible in bed. Alex, my grandmother might hear about this. I had to sell it, Alex shrugged, picking up the menu. Besides, looking at you in that dress, it wasn't a hard lie to tell. I froze. My face heated up. Was that a compliment? A flirt? Or just part of the method acting? So, I said, trying to regain control. Phase 1 complete. They bought it. They're suspicious, Alex corrected. Kyle is dumb, but he's paranoid. He knows you're a good girl. He knows I'm a loose cannon. He doesn't understand how we fit together. How do we fit together? I asked quietly. Alex looked up from the menu. The candlelight flickered in her dark eyes. We don't, she said simply. That's why it works. It's chaos. Chaos is distracting. The waiter arrived with a bottle of champagne. Compliments of the gentleman at table 4, he said. I looked over. Table 4 was empty. Who? I asked. No, Alex said, her voice turning icy. Not a gentleman. My father. I followed her gaze. Standing near the entrance, looking stern and disappointed, was an older man in a gray suit. Kyle's dad. My uncle. He wasn't looking at me. He was staring at Alex with a look of pure disdain. Alex's jaw tightened. I saw her hand clench into a fist on the table. The confident, terrifying woman from 5 minutes ago vanished, replaced by the 16-year-old girl who had been kicked out of her home. Let's go, Alex said, standing up abruptly. I'm not drinking his poison. Alex, wait, I said, grabbing her hand. Maya, let's go, she snapped. She stormed out. I grabbed my purse and ran after her. I caught up to her in the parking lot. It had started to drizzle. Alex! I shouted. He spun around. What? You got your show. You got your revenge moment. What else do you want? I didn't know he was going to be here, I said, stepping closer. I'm sorry. I don't care that he's here, Alex lied. She was pacing, running a hand through her hair, ruining the perfect waves. I hate this. I hate pretending that I'm part of their world. I hate that I care what he thinks. You don't have to pretend with me, I said softly. Alex stopped pacing. She looked at me. The rain was dampening her suit, making her hair cling to her face. She looked devastated and beautiful. You don't get it, Maya, she said, her voice cracking. You're playing a game. You get to go back to your normal life when this is over. I don't have a normal life. I'm just the screw-up. The disappointment. That's not true, I said fiercely. I closed the distance between us. I don't know where the boldness came from. Maybe it was the adrenaline. Maybe it was the dress. You're brilliant. You built a business from nothing. You're strong. You're the most impressive person I've ever met. Alex stared at me. Her chest was heaving. You're just saying that because I'm helping you. No, I said. I reached up and took her face in my hands. Her skin was wet from the rain. I'm saying it because it's true. Kyle is an idiot. Your parents are idiots. They don't see you. But I see you. The air between us shifted. The anger in her eyes dissolved into something else. Something darker. Something heavier. She looked at my lips. Then at my eyes. Maya, she warned, her voice a low rumble. Be careful. I'm tired of being careful, I whispered. Alex didn't hesitate. She surged forward, wrapping an arm around my waist and pulling me flush against her. One hand tangled in my hair, tilting my head back. And then she kissed me. It wasn't a fake kiss. It wasn't for an audience. There was no one in the parking lot but us and the rain. It was desperate. It was consuming. Her lips were soft but demanding. He tasted like whiskey and rain. I gasped against her mouth, and she took the opportunity to deepen the kiss, her tongue sweeping into my mouth, claiming me. My hands clutched the lapels of her jacket. I felt like I was drowning and I didn't want to be saved. The world narrowed down to the feeling of her body against mine, the heat of her hand on my lower back, the sound of our ragged breathing. For a moment I forgot about Kyle. I forgot about revenge. I forgot about the contract. When she finally pulled back, we were both panting. Her forehead rested against mine. Her eyes were blown wide, dark and searching. That wasn't in the script, she whispered roughly. I opened my eyes, feeling dizzy. My lips tingled. Rewrite the script, I breathed. Alex let out a shaky laugh. She pulled back slightly, her hands still resting on my hips. She looked terrified again, but in a different way. We're in trouble, Maya, she said. Big trouble, I agreed. Good, she said. She leaned in and kissed the corner of my mouth, soft and lingering. Now get in the car before you freeze in that dress. I sat in the passenger seat of her vintage muscle car, watching the rain streak down the window. My lips still burned. We had survived the first battle. We had humiliated Kyle. We had won the night. But as I looked over at Alex, watching her profile illuminated by the dashboard lights, I realized we had lost something too. We had lost the safety of pretend. The line had been crossed. The contract had been breached. I wasn't just fake dating Alex anymore. I was falling for her. And if my family drama didn't destroy us, the truth eventually would. We had been in the car for 2 hours and we hadn't talked about the kiss. It was sitting in the backseat like a hitchhiker we refused to acknowledge. We were driving to the Pines, my uncle's lakeside estate, for the annual family reunion from hell. Usually, I rode up with Kyle listening to his podcasts about cryptocurrency. Now I was in the passenger seat of a '69 Mustang, watching Alex shift gears with a grace that made my stomach do gymnastics. You're vibrating, Alex said, not taking her eyes off the winding road. I'm not vibrating, I lied. I'm oscillating with anticipation. Alex snorted. You're terrified. Relax, Maya. It's just a weekend. We go in, we ruin their appetite, we leave. It's not just a weekend, I said, picking at a loose thread on my jeans. It's the reunion. It's the Super Bowl of passive aggression. My mom is going to ask why I'm not married. Your mom is going to look at your tattoos and sigh audibly every 3 minutes. And Kyle is going to be there with Tiffany. Let him be there, Alex said darkly. She downshifted as we rounded a curve. Let him see what he lost. I looked at her. She was wearing a white tank top and black jeans, her sunglasses hiding her eyes. She looked cool, collected, and completely unbothered. Alex, I ventured, my voice quiet. About the other night. In the rain. Her jaw tightened. What about it? We haven't talked about it. Was it part of the plan? Silence stretched between us. The air conditioner blasted cold air, but the cabin felt hot. Maya, she said finally, her voice rough. We're about to walk into a war zone. Do you really want to analyze a kiss right now? Yes, I said stubbornly. Because if you kiss me like that in front of my grandmother, she's going to have a stroke. And I need to know if I'm supposed to kiss back. Alex turned her head slightly. She lowered her sunglasses, looking at me with those intense, dark eyes. You kissed back pretty well in the parking lot, she murmured. I blushed so hard I felt my ears burn. Just follow my lead, she said, turning back to the road. If I kiss you, it's for the mission. Got it? Right? I whispered, sinking into my seat. For the mission. But my heart knew that was a lie. The Pines was less of a cabin and more of a mansion made of logs. It had a wraparound porch, a private dock, and enough pretension to fill a stadium. As we walked up the steps, Alex carrying my bag because she insisted, I'm the boyfriend, remember? The chatter on the porch died instantly. It was a full house. My mom, Alex and Kyle's parents, Aunt Linda and Uncle Robert. Various cousins. And in the corner, holding hands like they were afraid to let go, Kyle and Tiffany. Well, Aunt Linda said, putting down her iced tea. She looked at Alex like she was a stain on the rug. You actually came. Invited guests usually do, Alex said smoothly. She dropped my bag and wrapped an arm around my waist, pulling me close. Hi, Mom. You remember Maya? Hi, Mrs. Henderson, I waved weakly. I remember Maya when she was dating a respectable young man, Aunt Linda sniffed, glancing at Kyle. And now she's dating an exciting woman, Alex countered, her hand squeezing my hip. Upgrade. Kyle looked like he had swallowed a lemon. Hey, Alex. Hey, Maya. Kyle, Alex nodded. She looked at Tiffany. Tiffany. Nice shorts. They really scream, I stole my cousin's boyfriend. Tiffany gasped. My mom choked on her drink. Alexandra. Uncle Robert barked, standing up. If you're going to cause a scene, you can leave. I'm not causing a scene, Dad, Alex said, her voice deceptively calm. I'm just introducing my girlfriend. Now where are we sleeping? I assume you didn't book us the master suite. Aunt Linda smiled. It was a tight, malicious little smile. Actually, we're a bit full this year, she said sweetly. Tiffany and Kyle are in the blue room. Your parents are in the master. The cousins have the bunk room. So I put you two in the guest cottage. I froze. The guest cottage. The shed. Alex asked, raising an eyebrow. It's a renovated cottage, dear, Aunt Linda said. It's very cozy. Private. Just what you two need. Alex looked at me. I looked at Alex. We both knew what that meant. The guest cottage was tiny. It was basically a single room with a bathroom attached. It smelled like cedar and potpourri. And there, in the center of the room, dominating the space, was the bed. One bed. It wasn't even a king. It was a queen. A very intimate, cozy queen. Of course, I groaned, dropping my face into my hands. Of course there's only one bed. It's like the universe is writing a fanfiction about us. Alex locked the door behind us and dropped the bags. She looked at the bed, then at me. Is this a problem? She asked. Is it a problem? I squeaked. Alex, we're fake dating. We're not supposed to sleep together. Like actually sleep. Snoring. Drilling. Kicking. I don't snore, Alex said, walking over to the bed and testing the mattress. And I don't kick. Unless I'm dreaming about fighting ninjas. She sat down and began unlacing her combat boots. She looked completely at home. Look, Maya, she said, looking up at me. We're stuck here. If I sleep on the floor, my back will seize up and I won't be able to lift my bike tomorrow. If you sleep on the floor, you'll complain all day. We're adults. We can share a mattress without it turning into whatever you're panicking about. I'm not panicking about that, I lied. I was absolutely panicking about that. I was panicking about waking up wrapped around her. I was panicking about her smelling that sandalwood soap up close. Good, she said. She stood up and took off her leather jacket, tossing it onto a chair. Beneath it she wore that tight white tank top. Her arms were sculpted marble. Now come on. We have to go back to the main house for dinner. And I plan on making Kyle cry before dessert. Dinner was a stiff, formal affair at a long wooden table. I was seated between Alex and my judgmental mother. Kyle was across from us. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a steak knife. So, Alexandra, Uncle Robert said, cutting his roast beef aggressively. How is the garage? Business is booming, Alex said, taking a sip of red wine. We just finished restoring a '67 Chevy Impala. Sold it for 6 figures. The table went quiet. Kyle looked up, surprised. 6 figures. Custom work pays well, Kyle, Alex said dryly. People pay a lot for authenticity. You wouldn't know much about that. Okay, enough, Aunt Linda interjected. Maya, dear, how is your job? Still drawing those little cartoons? I'm a graphic designer, Mrs. Henderson, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. And actually, I just got promoted. I hadn't, but Alex's hand was resting on my knee under the table, giving me courage. That's nice, Aunt Linda said dismissively. It's a shame you gave up on that nice life you had planned with Kyle. You two looked so good on paper. Paper burns, Alex said. Excuse me. Aunt Linda blinked. Paper burns, Alex repeated, staring her mother down. Maya isn't a resume item, Mom. She's a person. And Kyle treated her like an accessory. He cheated on her. With family. And you're all sitting here cutting roast beef like it didn't happen. We are trying to move past it, my mom hissed. For the sake of the family. Right, Alex laughed, a cold, sharp sound. Because appearance matters more than loyalty in this family. That's why you kicked me out, right? Because a gay daughter didn't look good on the Christmas card. Alex, Uncle Robert warned. Don't start. I'm not starting anything, Alex said. She turned to me, her expression softening instantly. She lifted her hand from my knee to my cheek, turning my face toward her. The whole table watched. I'm just glad he was an idiot, Alex said softly, loud enough for everyone to hear. Because if he hadn't messed up, I wouldn't have found you. She leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't the desperate, rainy kiss from before. This was slow. Deliberate. It was a kiss that said she is mine. I melted. I forgot my mom was watching. I forgot Kyle was gaping at us. I just felt Alex. When we pulled apart, Aunt Linda looked like she had swallowed a bug. Pass the potatoes, please, Alex said calmly. Back in the cottage, the adrenaline crashed. We took turns in the bathroom. I came out wearing my oversized t-shirt and shorts. Alex came out wearing, God help me. She was wearing gray sweatpants. Low slung. And a black sports bra. Her stomach was toned. Her arms were incredible. She had a tattoo of a geometric wolf on her ribs that I wanted to trace with my tongue. Stop staring, cardigan, she murmured, towel drying her hair. I wasn't staring, I squeaked, diving into the bed and pulling the quilt up to my chin. Alex chuckled and turned off the main light, leaving only the small bedside lamp on. The room bathed in a warm, intimate amber glow. She climbed into the bed. The mattress dipped under her weight. He was so close. I could feel the heat radiating off her skin. Okay, she said, lying on her back, hands behind her head. We survived day 1. You were amazing at dinner, I whispered into the darkness. What you said, about the paper burning. Alex turned her head on the pillow to look at me. Her face was inches from mine. I meant it. They treat you like a doll, Maya. You're worth more than that. You don't even know me that well, I said. I know enough, she said. Her gaze dropped to my lips. I know you're brave. I know you're loyal. And I know you snort when you laugh. I do not. You do. It's cute. The air shifted again. The playfulness died down, replaced by that heavy magnetic pull. Alex, I whispered. What are we doing? We're sleeping, she said, but she didn't close her eyes. No. I mean with this. With us. The fake dating. The kissing. Alex was silent for a long moment. She reached out, her fingers brushing against my arm, trailing down to my hand resting on the quilt. She laced her fingers through mine. I don't know, she admitted, her voice barely audible. I honestly don't know, Maya. I came here for revenge. But making Kyle jealous is starting to feel like a side quest, she whispered. And being with you is starting to feel like the main mission. My breath hitched. Alex shifted, rolling onto her side so she was fully facing me. He squeezed my hand. Go to sleep, Maya, she said softly. We have a big day of canoeing and psychological warfare tomorrow. She closed her eyes. I watched her for a long time. I watched the rise and fall of her chest. I watched the way her eyelashes cast shadows on her cheeks. I was in the guest cottage. I was in the only bed. And I was in so much trouble. Because I wasn't just falling in love with my fake girlfriend. I was falling in love with the one person who could break my heart worse than Kyle ever did. I closed my eyes, listening to the crickets, and for the first time in my life I didn't want a plan for tomorrow. I just wanted this night to last forever. I woke up to the smell of coffee and the feeling of an arm draped heavy and protective over my waist. For a solid 10 seconds I forgot where I was. I forgot about the revenge plot. I forgot about Kyle. I was just warm, safe, and tangled in sheets that smelled like sandalwood and Alex. I turned my head carefully. Alex was still asleep. Her face, usually guarded and sharp, was soft in the morning light filtering through the cabin curtains. Her dark hair was fanned out on the pillow. She looked peaceful. She looked like my girlfriend. But she wasn't. The reality hit me like a bucket of ice water. This was a job. A performance. Last night she had held my hand and told me she didn't want a plan for tomorrow, but that was just moonlight talk, right? That was the atmosphere. I tried to slide out from under her arm without waking her. Going somewhere? A raspy voice mumbled. I froze. Alex cracked one eye open. A slow, lazy smile spread across her face. I was going to get water, I stammered, my heart doing a traitorous flutter. Liar, Alex teased. She didn't move her arm. Instead she pulled me an inch closer. You were trying to escape before the awkward morning after conversation. Is this the awkward morning after conversation? It doesn't have to be, Alex said softly. Her thumb traced the line of my hip bone through the quilt. We could just stay here. Lock the door. Tell them we have food poisoning. Alex, I whispered. We have the annual Henderson canoe race in an hour. If we don't show up, my mother will send a search party. And by search party, I mean she will come bang on the door until the hinges fall off. Alex groaned, burying her face in the pillow. I hate the canoe race. Last time I did it, Kyle hit me with a paddle and claimed it was an accident. Well, I said, finally slipping out of bed and grabbing my robe. This time you have a teammate. We're going to crush him. Alex sat up, the sheet falling to her waist. She looked at me. Messy hair, determined expression, and her eyes darkened. Yeah, she said. We are. The lake was glassy and calm, which was a stark contrast to the mood on the dock. The Henderson family canoe race was a blood sport. My uncle took it more seriously than his taxes. Okay, teams. Uncle Robert shouted through a megaphone even though we were all standing 5 feet away. Standard rules. 2 laps around the buoy. No ramming. First team back wins the Trophy of Valor. The Trophy of Valor was a plastic cup glued to a piece of driftwood. It was hideous. I wanted it desperately. Ready to lose, Maya? Kyle sneered. He was wearing a professional life vest and athletic gloves. Tiffany was sitting in the front of his canoe applying sunscreen and looking bored. Focus on not tipping over, Kyle, Alex retorted, stepping into our canoe. She offered me a hand to steady me. Her grip was iron strong. Maya and I are in sync. You guys look like you're arguing about directions already. Shut up, Kyle muttered. On your marks. Uncle Robert bellowed. Get set. Go. We took off. Here's the thing about canoeing. It requires communication. It requires rhythm. Stroke, stroke, switch. Alex commanded from the back. I dug my paddle in, matching her rhythm perfectly. We cut through the water like a knife. We're doing it. I yelled, adrenaline surging. We were ahead. We were flying. We rounded the buoy first, executing a perfect turn. Eat my wake, Kyle. Alex shouted, laughing. It was a genuine, bright sound that made me want to turn around and kiss her right there in the boat. But then I heard it. The aggressive splashing behind us. Ram them. Kyle screamed. Kyle, no. Tiffany shrieked. Kyle's canoe slammed into our side. Hard. It wasn't a playful bump. It was a tackle. I wasn't expecting it. I lost my balance. The canoe tipped violently to the right. Paya! Alex yelled. The world flipped. The water was freezing. I plunged under, the shock knocking the air out of my lungs. I kicked trying to surface, but my leg got tangled in something. A stray rope from the dock or maybe the weeds. Panic flared instantly. I was a decent swimmer, but the vest was bulky and the shock was disorienting. I thrashed, swallowing a mouthful of lake water. This is it, I thought stupidly. I'm going to die at a family reunion. Then strong hands grabbed me. Alex. She didn't just pull me up, she hauled me out of the water like I weighed nothing. We broke the surface together, gasping. I've got you, Alex choked out, treading water and holding me tight against her chest. I've got you, Maya. Breathe. I coughed, clinging to her wet t-shirt. I'm okay. Are you insane? Alex roared, looking past me at Kyle's canoe, which was drifting nearby. Kyle looked horrified. Tiffany was covering her mouth. I didn't mean to hit you that hard. Kyle stammered. It was just a nudge. You could have killed her. Alex screamed. I had never heard her voice like that. It wasn't the cool, collected scary she usually used. This was raw, terrified fury. If you ever touch her again, Kyle, I swear to God I will end you. She dragged me toward the dock, kicking hard. She refused to let me swim. She towed me in, protective and fierce. When we reached the ladder, she pushed me up first. I scrambled onto the wood, shivering, water dripping from my hair. Alex pulled herself up after me and immediately wrapped a towel around me that someone handed her. She didn't care about the race. She didn't care about the trophy. She grabbed my face in her hands, checking my eyes. Are you hurt? She demanded. Did you hit your head? I'm fine, I said, my teeth chattering. Alex, I'm fine. She stared at me, her chest heaving, water dripping from her nose. And in that moment, in front of my entire family, the mask slipped completely. There was no fake in her eyes. There was only love. Terrifying, overwhelming love. Thank God, she whispered, and she pulled me into a crushing hug. Well, Aunt Linda said, her voice cutting through the moment like a razor. That was dramatic. We pulled apart. The whole family was staring. Kyle had paddled back to the dock and was climbing out, looking guilty and defensive. It was an accident, Kyle muttered, walking toward us. Alex is just overreacting. As usual. Overreacting. Alex stepped in front of me, shielding me. You capsized us, Kyle. It's a game, Alex. You always take things too seriously, Kyle scoffed. He looked down at the dock where our bags had been dumped when the canoe flipped. My waterproof tote bag had spilled open. Oh look, Kyle said, bending down. Maya's little diary fell out. My blood ran cold. It wasn't a diary. It was the notebook. The strategy notebook from the dive bar. The one where I had written, goal, destroy Kyle. Method, date sister. List of fake facts. Don't touch that, I said, stepping forward. But Kyle was faster. He picked it up. It was wet, but the ink was waterproof pen, force of habit. What is this? Kyle frowned. He flipped it open. Silence descended on the dock. Even the birds seemed to stop chirping. Kyle began to read. A slow, ugly smile spread across his face. Strategy meeting, he read aloud. Question 1. How did we meet? By the dive bar. Question 2. Intimacy plan. Touching in public to sell the con. He looked up. The guilt was gone, replaced by triumph. It's fake, Kyle announced, holding the notebook up like a trophy. I knew it. They're not dating. It's a revenge plot. Kyle, stop, Alex said, her voice low and dangerous. No. Kyle laughed, turning to his parents. Look, Maya wrote it all down. Get revenge on Kyle for cheating. Use Alex to scare him. They're lying to all of us. Alex is she's just a prop. Aunt Linda gasped. Is this true? Alexandra. All eyes turned to Alex. I stood there frozen. I wanted to scream that it wasn't true anymore. I wanted to say that maybe it started that way, but it was real now. I looked at Alex, pleading with my eyes for her to say something. To fight for us. Alex looked at the notebook in Kyle's hand. Then she looked at her parents, who were looking at her with that familiar mix of disappointment and judgment. Then she looked at me. Her eyes shut down. The warmth, the fear, the love. It all vanished behind the iron walls she had built years ago to survive this family. Alex. I whispered. Alex let out a short, bitter laugh. She ran a hand through her wet hair. Yeah, Alex said. Her voice was flat. It's true. My heart stopped. It was a joke, Alex continued, shrugging. Maya wanted to get back at Kyle. I was bored. We thought it would be funny to mess with you all. Alex, don't, I choked out. Tell them. Tell them what, Maya? Alex turned to me. Her eyes were cold, but I saw the tremor in her hands. She was doing the one thing she thought would save me. She was pushing me away so I wouldn't go down with her. We had a deal. We fooled them. Game over. It's not a game. I cried, grabbing her arm. Not anymore. You know it's not. Alex gently but firmly removed my hand from her arm. It was always a game, Maya, she lied. You're the good girl. I'm the black sheep. We don't make sense. We never did. She turned to her father. You wanted me to leave? Don't worry. I'm going. Alex. I screamed as she walked past me. She didn't stop. She walked straight to the guest cottage, grabbed her keys and her jacket and marched toward her car. I ran after her. My wet sneakers squelched on the gravel. Alexandra. I yelled, catching up to her as she opened the driver's side door of the Mustang. She froze. She looked at me over the roof of the car. Why are you doing this? I demanded, tears mixing with the lake water on my face. Why are you lying? I know you felt that. In the water. In the bed last night. You love me. Alex gripped the doorframe until her knuckles turned white. And look where loving me gets you, Maya, she said, her voice breaking. Look at them. They're laughing at you. They're judging you. As long as you're with me, you're part of the disappointment. You're the graphic designer with the nice life. Go back to it. Find a nice guy. Forget about me. I don't want a nice life. I shouted. I want you. You coward. That hit her. She flinched. I am a coward, she whispered. That's why I'm leaving. He got in the car. Alex, if you drive away we are done, I said, my voice shaking. Real done. Not fake done. She looked at me through the open window. There were tears in her eyes now. Goodbye, Maya, she said. I stood there in the driveway, shivering, wet and alone. Behind me I heard Kyle laugh. Well, he called out. That was entertaining. Told you she was crazy, Maya. I turned around slowly. I wasn't the same Maya who had run away from his apartment 3 weeks ago. I wasn't the girl who cried in a Honda Civic. I was the girl who had ridden a motorcycle at midnight. I was the girl who had been loved by Alexandra Henderson. I walked up to Kyle. Maya? He asked, his smile faltering. You okay? I didn't say a word. I pulled back my fist and punched him square in the nose. The family gasped. That, I said, looking down at him as he clutched his face, was for the canoe. I turned to my car. And for the record, I shouted at the stunned family, she's the best thing that ever came out of this bloodline. I got in my Civic. I slammed the door. I had to go get my girl back. I drove away from the pines without looking back. Alex thought she was saving me. She thought she was doing the noble thing by letting me go back to my safe life. He was an idiot. She had taught me how to break rules. She had taught me how to be brave. Now I was going to have to use every single one of those lessons to break down the walls she had just slammed in my face. He wanted a war? Fine. I was bringing the whole army. It had been 3 days. 3 days of silence. 3 days of me staring at my phone, willing it to buzz with a name that wasn't Sam or my mother. My mother had called 14 times. I hadn't answered once. I was done apologizing for who I was. You look like a raccoon, Sam said, walking into my apartment without knocking. She was holding 2 large coffees and a bag of bagels. A very determined, angry raccoon. I spun my desk chair around. I'm not sulking, Sam. I'm working. You're redesigning Alex's company logo, Sam noted, looking at my monitor. Which is sweet, but also stalkerish, considering she dumped you in a driveway. She didn't dump me, I said, grabbing a coffee. She tried to save me. There's a difference. She thinks I belong in a beige world with beige people. She thinks she's toxic waste. And you're going to prove her wrong with graphic design? Sam asked skeptically. No, I said, standing up. I walked over to my closet. I'm going to prove her wrong by showing her that I'm not afraid of the grease. Or the noise. Or her. I pulled out the leather jacket. The leather jacket. I had stolen it from the guest cottage before I left. It still smelled like her. I'm going to Ironclad, I announced, zipping it up. It was 2 sizes too big, but it felt like armor. Sam grinned, a slow, shark-like grin. I'll drive. You need to save your energy for the big speech. Ironclad Customs was louder than I remembered. It was a symphony of chaos. I stepped out of Sam's car. My heart was hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs, but my hands, fists clenched at my sides, were steady. Go get her, Sam yelled over the noise. If she says no, I brought eggs to throw at her car. Save the eggs for breakfast, I muttered. I marched into the open bay doors. The shop was busy. Mechanics were moving everywhere. Sparks were flying from a welder in the corner. And there she was. Alex was under the lift, working on the undercarriage of a massive truck. She was wearing those same grease-stained coveralls from the first day we met. She looked exhausted. There were dark circles under her eyes that even the grime couldn't hide. Mike, the biker from the bar, saw me first. He looked at me, then at the jacket, then at Alex. He smirked and killed the power on his grinder. One by one, the sounds of the shop died down. The drills stopped. The music was turned down. The mechanics sensed the drama. Alex, noticing the sudden silence, slid out from under the truck on her creeper board. What is going on? Did the power go? She froze. She was lying on her back on the creeper looking up at me. I was standing directly over her wearing her jacket, my hands on my hips. Hi, I said. Alex blinked. She sat up slowly, wiping her hands on a rag. She looked like she was seeing a ghost. Hiya, she croaked. Her voice was wrecked. What are you doing here? I'm returning something, I said. The jacket, she asked, her eyes darting to the leather. You could have mailed it. No, I said. I'm returning your excuse. Pie what? Your excuse, I repeated, my voice rising so the whole shop could hear. The one where you say you're bad for me. The one where you say I need a safe life. I'm returning it. It's defective. Alex stood up. She towered over me as usual, but she looked smaller today. Shoulders slumped. Defeated. Pia, go home, she said quietly. Please. Don't make a scene here. I am the queen of scenes. I shouted. I punched your brother in the face. I almost drowned in a canoe. I am done being quiet, Alex. A few mechanics chuckled. Alex glared at them and they instantly pretended to be busy cleaning wrenches. Look, Alex said, stepping closer, lowering her voice to a desperate whisper. You don't get it. My family, they poison everything. If you stay with me, you lose them. You lose the invite to Christmas. You lose the approval. You become an outcast. I can't do that to you. I don't care about Christmas invites. I stepped into her space, poking her hard in the chest. I care about you. I care about how you make me feel brave. I care about how you look at me like I'm the only person in the room. I care that you saved me from that lake when everyone else was worried about a stupid trophy. Alex flinched. I'm a mess, Maya. I live in a garage. I have anger issues. I drive too fast. And I color code my bookshelf and have anxiety about making phone calls. I countered. We don't make sense on paper, Alex. You were right. Paper burns. But I don't want to live on paper anymore. I want to live in the fire. With you. Alex stared at me. Her mask was crumbling. Her eyes were shimmering with unshed tears. You punched Kyle? She asked, processing the information late. Square in the nose, I confirmed proudly. He cried. A slow, incredulous smile tugged at Alex's lips. He cried. Like a baby. Alex let out a laugh. It was a wet, shaky sound, but it was real. She looked down at her dirty boots, then back up at me. You're wearing my jacket, she noted softly. It smells like you, I admitted, blushing. And I'm keeping it. Unless you plan on taking it off me. The air in the garage shifted. The tension broke, replaced by that electric magnetic pull that had been there since day one. You're stubborn, Alex murmured, taking a step closer. Her hands hovered near my waist, afraid to touch me with the grease. I learned from the best, I whispered. So, are you going to send me away again? Because I have Sam in the car and she has a carton of eggs. Alex shook her head. No. No more sending you away. She reached out. She didn't care about the grease anymore. She grabbed the lapels of the jacket, her jacket, and yanked me forward. She kissed me. Tasted like oil and coffee and 3 days of misery washing away. It was rough and real and perfect. I wrapped my arms around her neck, not caring about the coveralls ruining my shirt. The shop erupted. Mechanics were banging wrenches against metal tables. Mike let out a wolf whistle. We broke apart, breathless. Alex rested her forehead against mine. She was smiling. A real, open, happy smile. "I love you, cardigan," she whispered. "I love you too, grease monkey," I whispered back. "I'm never going to be the safe choice," she warned me, her eyes serious again. "Good," I said, tracing the line of her jaw. "Safety is overrated. It's been 6 months since I stormed the garage. Life is different. I didn't lose my family completely. My mom still calls, mostly to complain, but she's slowly accepting that Alex isn't going anywhere. We didn't go to the last family reunion. We went to Cabo instead. Kyle tried to reach out once. Alex sent him a photo of us on her motorcycle with the caption, "She's busy." We haven't heard from him since. I still work at the marketing firm, but I have a side hustle now. I do all the branding and design for Ironclad Customs. I even convinced Alex to sell merchandise. You'd be surprised how many people want a t-shirt with a geometric wolf on it. We moved in together last month. It's a loft. It has my color-coded books on one wall, and Alex's collection of vintage helmets on the other. It's chaotic. It's loud. It's perfect. "They're in the bowl by the door," I shouted back. "Where they always are." Alex walked into the room. She was wearing a suit again. We were going to a wedding, not ours, yet. She looked devastating. "What are you doing?" she asked, leaning over my chair and kissing my neck. "Just finishing a story," I said, closing my laptop. "Is it a good story?" I turned to look at her. "The scary sister. The love of my life." "Yeah," I smiled. "It's my favorite." And that's how I went from the girl who cried over a cheater to the girl who tamed the beast. Although, between you and me, I didn't tame her. I just joined her in the wild. Thanks for listening. And remember, if your ex cheats on you, check if he has a hot sister. You never know.